Okay, welcome back to the Cheech and Manny show, where today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, our next sort of like multi-series that we're gonna title The Tao of Music. And accompanied by my usual co-host, Cheech Carrero. Cheech, what's going on,
What's
brother?
up, Manner? How's it going? How's everything? Things are
Oh,
good here.
dude, life is
I'm
good, brother.
I'm excited about this. Uh, it's a tough topic to try to get, out, but I think hopefully people are understand and you could kind of, guide, guide because you're good at guiding my thoughts if I'm not explaining myself right. So but yeah, this will be a series about using water as a metaphor of how people listen to music.
Hmm.
We'll explain that going back till 2,500 years before Christ to 2026, how people got to hear music. And we're gonna cover so much music in these episodes. And I'm gonna talk about the music as well. I'm not gonna just get into, like, oh, this is how they listen to music, but the specific music that they listen to that maybe, people could learn a thing or two about.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I think that's the goal. So it would be like exploration into, and I'm also sensing other conclusions because it's more than just listening to music. I see it as like a the tradition or exploring of the Western musical tradition, which
yeah.
as we're gonna find out, it has most people don't even know this. Most people
No.
are asking themselves, why are we listening to music? And
Yeah.
where did this all come from? Because
Where did it come from?
it didn't
Yeah.
come out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people just plug in their headphones and stream their music. Back in the days, you had your iPad, you put on a
Yeah. Yeah.
vinyl, a CD.
But if you start digging like an archaeologist and going backwards, you're going to be blown away by how you got to where we are now by
Mm,
listening to music because it's totally insane.
I agree.
The
And
stuff I
there's a
came up with.
big history. And today's episode, we're gonna look. I think this is how you pronounce it, the Lyre.
Yeah.
And specifically, also, we're gonna take a look at its usage, um, among other cultures, but more
Yeah.
specifically, uh, King David,
Mm-hmm. The,
son of
the,
Jesse,
the
uh,
Greeks.
and his composition of the Psalms. And I
Yeah.
argue that and I don't know if you would agree with this with the Tao of music. I think it has a lot of Christian origins,
Oh, oh,
more
oh, definitely, definitely.
more than the Greeks. Now, the Greeks all and the Mesopotamians also used the lyre,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
especially the Mesopotamian culture will become ingrained in like Arabic culture, and
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and that's but that's a but
But
well
I think they all used it for the same purpose at this time. Religious ceremonies, spiritual practices. It wasn't particularly done to listen to music, like let's put on hemispheres and smoke a joint. You know what I mean? It was done for a mean. There was much more meaning in music 2,500 years ago
uh,
than there is now.
yes, and going back to what you just said about the you just mentioned the religious usage. Uh
Yeah.
that's one I agree with you, and 2 points on that. The first one is how and again, we're gonna focus on the lyre with the invention of this ancient instrument.
Yeah.
The Greeks used it, I know, during their tragedies and poems and plays.
Yeah.
Thing is, but that is not the reason why that instrument was popularized. The
Yeah.
Mesopotamian, actually back to the Greeks, the legend goes that it belonged to the god Hermes.
Right. Right.
That's a cool legend. Mesopotamia, though,
And you know what Hermes wrote?
tell me,
The Hermetic laws. The law of attraction, the law of vibration, the law
I
of
would have to look into that. I'm not sure. That's
no,
interesting.
no, the 100% Hermes Hermetic laws.
All right, that would have to look into.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's some sort of like spiritual
Yeah,
connection.
yeah.
But what I'm trying to tell you is that with the Lear though, specifically with like Judaism and then eventually Christianity, I think they were the first to popularize it.
Yeah,
where
yeah,
it started to become, especially with the Israel and the legend goes that David composed these psalms on the lyre, a
yeah, yeah,
strange instrument. And so we're gonna look at the origin. So yes, it started in Mesopotamia, and most of the
yeah.
religious ceremonies, nobody really like
It,
you
wa-
know,
he didn't wake up and be like, "Yeah, I can't wait to hear,
yeah, can't wait
King
to hear
David rock out on the
Gilgamesh.
lyre." You know, we're gonna, Pythagoras is gonna jam out on that lyre to the music of the spheres. We're gonna get into
Yeah.
his whole theory on that. It was done for sacred purposes, meditative purposes, music therapy, therapeutic purposes.
Hmm.
King David used it for therapeutic purposes as well. I'll get into it. So
Go ahead.
me okay. So uh all right. So here we go. So just so people know, my concept is that this is using music, I'm sorry, water as music develops. Okay? So right now we're talking about the lyre, and this is just specks of rain that's going to develop into the ocean of music that we live in right now.
Hmm.
Make sense? Is it clear? I just want to make sure people, that I'm making sense with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, I think these episodes are gonna be titled "The Tao of Music,"
Yeah.
and what you're trying to do is compare music to like water. And so
Hmm.
today we have an ocean of music. I think we have an ocean.
Yes.
I think it's
Yeah.
undeniable.
Yeah.
We have an ocean of music. And so what were some of these first droplets before we
Exactly.
get into anything? That
Yes.
eventually,
That's,
music is like water.
yep. That's where the Tao and the Bruce Lee kind of thing comes in. Okay. So, specks of rain. 4,500 years ago, they found a lyre sort of in the, I guess, in the Mesopotamia area.
Hmm.
That's the oldest lyre that they found. I think in the late 70s or in the 60s, they dated it to that. So 2,700 years BC, ancient Mesopotamians um, used this instrument, the same way every other culture did for religious purposes, um, mystical purposes, trances, and stuff like that. So then it moves up to 2500 BC. Egyptians use it for the same thing, religious ceremonies and court music and art. Um, Okay. So you have ancient Mesopotamia, Egypt. So why the lyre, you wonder? Then it's going to go to Greece. Like I don't know who invented it. I can't find the person who and how did it get to these how
It,
did it get to these cultures? That's like
it is interesting, this idea of like I'm sure like any it opens the door because a few things. Well, first, uh so with music, right? This idea of
yes.
music as geometry, as later elaborated by the Greek philosopher Pythagoras, when he
Mhm.
realized that there are geometric sounds in music.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. Before that, though, the instrument itself is also somebody, I guess, decided to make this instrument, realizes that it makes noise,
yeah,
or they were taught music, which that would be
yeah,
another interesting idea because
yeah,
think about it. Especially how you said that it started with and dude, it's not a coincidence with the Mesopotamians, and because I still believe this that they're the first civilization.
yeah,
They
yeah,
and they grew out of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. It's
right.
fascinating is that Genesis in the Bible mentions those two rivers. The Bible, if you look at the history, like if you follow the timeline. And I know this is controversial because scientists say like the Earth is 64 million years.
Right,
Bible
right.
tells another story. Now, before Christ, the world was only maybe like 5,000 years old,
Yeah, yeah.
right? It has its own unique, I'm sorry, not 5,000 year old, but it has its own unique timeline.
Exactly.
And so, like 4,500 BC, you had the appearance, and a lot of Lyres are dated to around this time.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
it is
That's
interesting how so it's kind of
I
like a
mean,
myth.
could it have traveled from Mesopotamia to Egypt to Greece?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So somebody, was traveling. Somebody was on tour like Rush with the Lyre and went to these places. So from Egypt, we go 1,400 to Greece. This is where it gets interesting. Now, the Greeks used it in poetry and music, like you said, and that was the comedies and the tragedies.
Mm-hmm.
Then our boy Pythagoras, who I've always been fascinated with, he used it as a physical instrument as well as a instrument
He
to be
he
played.
invented music theory. I would
Yeah,
argue, I'm pretty sure he's the inventor of music, like as you know it, where he
yeah,
realized there are, I'm not a music theorist. He said that there are quarter tones, there's these tones, and he argued that the universe has a melody. He called it,
yeah.
they really got into really, I would argue that Pythagoras is the first esoteric like person who
I think
really,
so.
he started to become obsessed with the geometric patterns music produces. Like it all
Eh,
is
Yeah,
beautiful rhythm. And
Eh,
like you said, he probably perfected the lyre. And
yeah. He perfected it. He used it as an instrument to play and an instrument to figure these things out. He invented the first scale. You know, he invented modes like the Phrygian mode. He invented the Lydian mode, the Mixolydian mode through birds, through nature.
right, right.
He had the guy's ear was like insane. So he would use mathematical intervals in relationship in music. Um, he also used it as music therapy for people. He called this the music of the spheres. Planets moved accordingly to mathematical proportions that mirrored the intervals of the perfectly tuned lyre. Want me to say that again?
No, no,
You
that's a
got
famous concept that he made. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, it's literally what I just said was like he thought that using these patterns of music that he noticed and mathematical geometrical scales and all that, and it's crazy how he did it. He
yeah.
realized that there's a music of the spheres, that there is a sound that that the universe has. And so
And,
like
I mean, he was a mathematician, and he invented the pi. That they can't that somebody supposedly figured out, but I don't think they
Pythagorean
did.
and was the theorem, which again,
Yeah,
geometry. That's geometry.
yeah,
Music, I
yeah.
argue, music theory is geometry.
Totally. Yeah. And he like you said, the intervals, he got it from nature. So I don't know much about Socrates, but I know Socrates played it. Plato said he used it for reason, spirit, and appetite. Um, and he looked at it as high, middle, and low strings of the lyre to achieve justice. So the high was reason, the middle was spirit, and the low was appetite. And through that, you can achieve justice. That was his philosophy on the lyre when he played it. Aristotle said the meaning that virtue, like justice or courage, is built by thinking and practicing over and over until it's like the scales played on the lyre. That's pretty heavy. And that's your boy Aristotle. Any comments on that?
Yeah, sounds right. The green. I know famously, you can hear it when back in the days when Homer's
Yeah,
poem, the Iliad and the Odyssey, on their epic poems,
yeah,
they were usually played on a lyre.
yeah.
And like but they were performed like that's the and also tragedies, and it's very simple instrument. Like if you hear it,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No
but like
frets. It's almost a harp. It's a harp in a sense.
it's sort of like the prototype for a harp or piano before keys.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've never seen someone play one, but I opened up
There,
for a girl
what?
who was a heavy metal harpist,
That's pretty cool.
and harp is the most beautiful instrument in the world. I don't think there's a more beautiful sound than a harp.
Hmm.
I mean, besides bass, but it's just so it's like angelic, like the angels are coming. She would play this
And what
beautiful
did you say
piece.
about the Aristotle? What did you say about Plato about the low strings, the bass strings? Plato? What did you say the
Uh,
bass was?
Plato said
The low
reason,
strings?
spirit, and appetite.
I
Uh,
think you said the lowest appetite.
yeah, yeah.
Do
So
you know what that
appetite
is?
is yeah, that's the low strings. That was his theory on it,
But do you know
you
what
know.
appetites is in philosophy?
Um, your id, ego, like your ego,
No.
appetite, like your
Wait, what?
Dionysus, like I don't know, like your like your the things
E-
you're not supposed to
it's
do.
Aristotle, but irrational desires.
Exactly. That's what I'm
So
trying to
that's
say.
what
Like
you play. You play like
Dionysus.
the
Yeah.
low strings. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But yeah,
I
man, no joke. But yeah, dude, it is interesting how the Greeks again they starting with this idea and but it's interesting they didn't really they use it as musical accompaniment. Like there were
yeah.
as far as I know, I could be totally Mesopotamia too. They used it, for example. I've seen videos with the Epic of Gilgamesh, for example. It's
Yeah.
accompanied by a lyre. And think about it, if they were composing these epics, where
Yeah.
did the idea of epic poetry come from too, which is also fascinating.
Yeah.
And obviously this will have an influence later on we're going to be mentioning him. But you always see the beginnings of
Lyrics
sort of like
and music. Really, what it is, it's
or the
lyrics and
lyrics
music.
or the poetry. But
Yeah.
nobody woke up and was like, yeah, I'm gonna play my lyre. Like
No, but I love the idea that the lyrics and poetry are the poetry is the lyrics and the lyrics the music.
right.
So that's the
And the
beginning.
Greeks, right. And the Greeks thought they were replicating the music of the sphere, starting with Pythagoras and then Plato and
Right.
Aristotle elaborating on it. And
Right.
you had Pythagoras forming, I'm sure he's not the only one, but forming musical theory. And Mesopotamia and Greek, the mysterious origins, which we don't know. The Greeks said that Hermes taught them how to make it out of a
Yeah.
tortoise shell. And
Yeah.
and that's interesting. Mesopotamia, I would have to look into exactly where they
Yeah. It gets
but
crazy with
but it was in
Mesopotamia.
that area, and that would
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
sense because they are usually close, like the civilizations. When you study world civ, usually one of the first civilizations to have any recorded history is the Mesopotamians,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they have actually one of the most ancient texts in the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah. And I
So,
think, that's where it all started. In Mesopotamia. That's
but
the beginning.
someone taught them this because in caveman times, I mean, they probably go like,
Well,
"Who?"
Mesopotamia, it wouldn't have been
More tribal if there was any music.
yeah. I mean the like let me see
And that's if
it
you
wouldn't have been
believe in the caveman theory or
it
whatever.
wouldn't have
But
been Hermes, who taught the Mesopotamians. That's a different
well,
culture.
no, but it would have been a just a quick esoteric. I'm sorry, y'all. I
An
think
equivalent, an equivalent to
it
Hermes.
was what Greeks called him Hermes, but it's obvious it's an angelic being.
Right, right, right.
Obvious. You said the Hermetic laws. I would have to look
Yeah,
into that a little bit, but if
yeah,
that's true, that is one of the fallen angels that taught these people apparently music. Because again, and then later on, King David is going to take up and he's a man created after God's heart.
yeah,
So
yeah. He's
so
next on my
where did
list.
music come from? I mean, Pythagoras is not far off. Like, and
No,
Eric,
well, I also think the people in the theaters, there's Greek theaters, they would have shows, right? Like the Greeks, people would watch
Mhm.
comedy and tragedy.
Yeah.
So that's the first form of entertainment. So that's the first form of hearing music is
If there was music, my understanding is that a lot of the plays had no music. The way it would
okay.
work is that you would go. It's actually pretty cool. Like you would go. Let's say there was a Greek tragedy. Now there might be music, but most of
Right.
the times they had it. It was all like a it was all set up in a way that you had the choirs. Now the choirs were groups of, and by the way, they're mostly guys, no
But the
girls.
choirs were singing.
So what they would do if they were singing, now again, I'm not sure if they were singing, but they would narrate. They called them choirs because they were there. But
Right, right.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think there was music. It was more so like a theater. Now, epic poetry, though, there is a little bit of evidence that yes, there was, like, in the time of Odysseus, ding wing, like, but
Yeah,
it would be more of the solo poet. The tragedy plays are completely different. Um,
right, right.
completely different.
Okay. But it
You can
was
watch videos, you
definitely,
can watch videos on YouTube to see this.
yeah, it's definitely it's the beginnings of music being heard by people in
Yeah, the
Greece.
exposure of music, and
That's,
then not a coincidence,
yeah,
used in religious ceremonies, where
yeah.
again people are attending these. Now, here's the thing, though. Another part that I would have to look into. I would have to do a dissertation on, like, religious
I mean,
history.
we're going far back. We're
But what's
digging,
weird is that the priests, there were priests back.
oracles, the oracles, right?
Well, I'm talking about
We're,
Mesopotamia first.
oh, okay, okay, okay.
They kind of like gate kept the music. Like they were the
Right.
only ones who were allowed to actually read and write. They invented a language.
Yeah.
See, the common people didn't know how to write. So first of all, common
Uh-huh.
people didn't know how to write lyrics, if anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, Now the Greeks then developed a tradition of
Right.
what you would see where they started composing. I'm
Right.
sorry, not composing, writing and leaving some of the most epic poetry,
Right.
tragedy.
Leaving a record of art
Right,
for
right.
the future.
Right, because they can became obsessed with the spoken word, like,
Yeah.
and using it for, the art and
Yeah.
transmit messages.
So
But
would you say, I mean, it's kind of maybe Greeks invented art in some ways. They're the first culture to really make it popular,
I
or
would say so. I
you
think
know,
we do have a well, I don't think they invented, I think they came up with the concept of art. They
yeah,
realized that, for example, they realized like there's a beautifulness to art. And
yeah,
so Aristotle and Plato and the philosophers are going to try to describe what art is. But yeah, I think you're right. They're one of the first ones that are really going to become obsessed with storytelling and beautifulness and
right,
order too, especially with discovering all this
right.
good stuff. Because again, I mean, you see their temples today and what they built
Oh
with
God, I
architects.
know.
But not
They're
too far, Mesopotamians too. They were already also on the same, and the Babylonians. They were already
insane, the architecture, those columns and everything.
beautiful, beautiful.
So we could say that Mesopotamia, Egypt, we know Egypt, and Greece. And you brought up the Oriental, Asia and Asia Minor.
I have no idea what they were
Yeah.
doing at this time.
But there was definitely music going. They had something like a lyre too. That it was a wooden instrument. You hear it when you're in the bathroom of a Japanese restaurant.
Right,
It's fretless.
right.
Like it has two strings.
Wait, but did it exist 4,500 years before Christ, or
I didn't do my history on that, but I think
that
it
I'm
did.
not sure. I mean, that would be another
Because
topic.
that's an ancient history.
Oh,
That's an ancient culture. So it would probably
100%.
it would okay, what year was Confucius? And
Oh, that's like 500 years BC. That was kind of contemporary.
so that's way after Socrates and Plato and everything. Like,
Around the same time.
so I would say that they had their kind of music going on too, but I just stuck with, the Lear
And
and
we'll keep on Western music. No, the point
yeah,
is like you have the beginnings of, yeah, they're actually creating some sort of like very archetypal of what they're doing. They have lyrics, probably the best lyrics, the epic poetry.
yeah, yeah,
That's probably the greatest lyrics. And then pretty soon we're going to mention King David and his composition of the Psalms,
yeah,
which clearly is one of the first like Western music. People don't talk about this. You know how in the 50s rock and roll we have like, let's say like certain songbooks, like the Gershwin songbook,
yeah,
Gershwin,
yeah,
all
yeah,
that, but the American songbook, the Woody Guthrie songbook.
right.
Well, King David left us the Psalm songbook.
We sing them. I used to sing them in church every Sunday, right? The Psalms.
Dude, well, to this day, we're still singing those same exact songs,
Yeah,
and things really didn't change. Because again, like when you look at string instruments, like the piano technically is a string instrument.
yeah.
And I'm not talking about electric piano. I'm talking about like the original pianos where
Yeah.
you hit a key and you can see it, hitting all these, like you said, different strings,
Right.
right? So, yeah, it's pretty amazing. And this is one of the first water raindrops or drops as
This,
they heard.
yeah. So these are so this so people hopefully you're getting the concept here. These are the droplets coming down. The Mesopotamians, the Egyptians, the Greeks using the lyre, and the Greeks I think took it to the next level, like Manny said, using poetry and lyrics. So you got your words and you did a great impression of how they would sing it, like
Oh, well, I got it, dude. You know what's funny? I got it from a YouTube video. It was this really cool video of this person singing, and he was playing some sort of lyre. Now, obviously, it's a modern lyre. There are
yeah,
modern lyres now.
yeah.
And I thought it was cool. Now, mind you, it requires patience because the singing is so like architect like so primitive in terms of like what we're used to today.
Yeah, oh
And
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he was singing, I believe it was like the Epic of Gilgamesh or one of the Greek tragedies. It was
Oh.
really, and he's using the lyre, and like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's really cool. And I'm just
Yeah.
thinking like, wow, what must have King David sounded like? Because
Oh, I
apparently
know.
you mentioned therapeutic. Dude, that's so important. Music is therapeutic, and you mentioned that the Greeks discovered this. Dude, King David discovered this, and he would,
Yeah.
to soothe King Saul, he would play, because apparently David had the voice of an angel, apparently.
Right, right,
So
right.
he was already skillful from a kid with this instrument. Now, where did he get this instrument? I mean, who
Well,
taught him how to play this? I mean,
no,
it's
I don't know
interesting.
why I got this in my head. You've seen Animal House, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you know when John Belushi's dressed up like he's dressed up like a Greek at the toga party, a Roman at the toga party, and this dude is playing a guitar and he's playing this like beautiful love song and he's like, "Hey, you mind if I see that?" And he gets it and he smashes it into a million pieces. I don't know why that just popped into my head. It's like an insane scene in Animal House. But anyway, so yeah, so why don't we jump right into King David? All right. Um, King David, and I'm gonna let you take the reins on this, but I'm just gonna give some of my notes. He used he used it as a therapeutic tool, as you said, to calm people. And who did you say he calmed? He was calming
Famously, King Saul.
King
Before he
Saul.
became king, yeah, he was.
Okay. And the poems in the book of Psalms. So he used it with the poems, kind of like the way the Greeks did. I think he calls it the Kinor,
And
K-I,
it's Hebrew, yeah, Kino. I think it's Kino or something.
Kinor. Yeah. He mentions the lyre or Kinor in Psalm 33:2, 43:4, calling on worship to praise God with a string instrument. I don't know if that rings a bell.
That's Hebrew, yeah, Kino. Kino, I'm pretty sure it's Kino.
Yeah, and
Kinor. Kinor.
The psalm was 33:2, 43:4. He wrote compositions ranging from deep grief to ecstatic joy. So he wrote some sad songs and he also wrote some joyful songs in the Psalms. Um, he appointed families from the tribe of Levi to become full-time professional musicians. He had 100 lyres and harps played in ceremonies. It was a part of worship. So this guy invented the first orchestra. Isn't that insane? The
Essentially, yeah.
tribe of Levi. So now we go back to the Greeks. You got raindrops, and those raindrops are getting bigger now. They're huge raindrops, and they're falling to the ground. They're about to make a pond. Um, so what else do I have? Uh, so what's maybe I'm spelling this wrong. Prophetic. Prophetic. Is
Prophetic.
it? Yeah.
Proph.
Yes. Yes.
Prophetic, yeah, prophetic.
For prophetic inspiration, it bridged the gap between human and the divine. Musicians extended a meditative state trance to get prophetic insights. The music brought meaning itself, and they used it to they used it in spiritual ritual.
Mhm.
So that's my King David summary right there. So you want to add a little bit to that?
Yeah, so he definitely popularized music, dude, to the point where I'll be honest with you. First, later on, we're gonna have episode part two after this, which we're probably not gonna get to tonight. That's
So
okay,
he's the first, would you say he's the first Elvis?
dude. I mean, let me tell you, guy would get all the girls. He had all the power. He became known as one of the most beautiful singers in the land. Dude, we're talking about the makings of the first rock star here.
He's Robert
And
Plant.
he had natural talent. Like I'll be honest with you, I don't know who taught him this instrument. Like I don't know.
God. Well, he
No,
was King
it's obvious.
David.
It's obvious.
You know,
Yeah, David apparently, according to the Bible and God, he was made as a reflection of God's heart.
right,
Well,
right,
believe it or not. And talk about music of the spheres, right? So he had this ability. But it was
right.
really fascinating. First, you mentioned the Levitical choirs. Now, do you know
Yeah.
who the tribe of Levi were?
Yeah. I mean, there's how many, I don't know the numbers, but there's seven, eight tribes
12
of the
tribes of Israel. 12
12,
tribes.
okay, 12
And
tribes of
that's
Israel.
important because 12 tribes, 12 apostles.
All right. Interesting.
But anyway,
Interesting.
one of the tribes is Levi. And by the
Right.
way,
I know they're a tribe. Yeah.
these were the priests, the priesthood. Remember what I told you how the priests would gatekeep the music?
Right, right, right.
So you had the Levitical priests, and David institutionalized music to the point where it became so important. And anyone in, for example, years, and years later, when you would walk by the temple, remember how
Yeah.
Jesus says, "Get out!" Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Ian Gillan.
he
Like,
probably threw some choir members up the stairs because they would be singing in front of the temple in the
yeah,
entry.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, oh, how great are and literally like David would organize this. Now, a lot of people say that he didn't write all the 150 Psalms. By faith, I think he did.
yeah. Well,
He
who else
might
would
have,
have written them? Well, maybe there were other
no, he
musicians.
probably taught some. Now, what I theorize is that he taught other people.
Right, right,
And
right,
he
right.
said, the choir master, this is what I want. I saw this and
Yeah,
help me. Like, let's look at the choir going on. So you have the beginnings of a social, like a popular music kind of thing because the Psalms became sources. And again, they're songs, they're prayers.
yeah,
They're meant to be sung.
yeah. And now we're adding the lyre and the harp, the lyre and the harp. So we have double instruments now.
Well, I don't think the harp existed.
For my research, there was harps and lyres in his orchestra. He
Okay.
basically he had an orchestra. From my research,
I'll have to look into that.
maybe it was the angel harp. Like there's like you ever see these old commercials where there's an angel and she's playing a harp, but it's really small. It's not a lyre, it's a harp. So
Mm,
it probably was a smaller version of the harp.
right.
And it was orchestras. Like he orchestrated the tribe of Levi to Levi or
Levi.
Levi, like the jeans, Levi, uh, to
Levi
to
Strauss.
yeah, to play an orchestra. Well, he sang or other people sang,
But the
but
orchestra is very primitive, though.
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
My understanding is mostly choirs of men.
singing.
So it's the prototype. I'm going to talk about this later for Gregorian chant. Literally, that's the prototype.
That's the next on the
But
list.
the next level, now we're going to head into more spherical spheres of music with Gregorian chant. But
Yeah,
King David, now what's mysterious about these Psalms, and you can read it in the Bible, 150 Psalms. They're all beautiful. There are Psalms of praise, Psalms of worship, Psalms of tragedy. We, uh, we call them the Psalms of so yeah, you have different genres in the Psalms.
yeah. So
Dude, I
you got
mean,
genres. So King David invented the genre.
I'll be honest, dude. It's like
Holy
I
shit!
tell
This
my
is ground.
students,
Has
guys, you
anybody
know,
talked about this? Anybody talked about this?
dude, not like this. And what's crazy is this was crazy. So in the Psalms, right? And you can read this. The Psalms are wonderful because first, why they included they're included in we call it the Old Testament today, right?
Yeah.
But in that time, there was no this idea of Old Testament. And what's interesting is that there are three types of Psalms. The first one is songs of lament, lamentation. These are would be your
Right.
dark, depressing. These are
Right.
these are meant to offer consolation during dark times. A genre. We have
Right.
we we have
Uh,
Psalms of thanksgiving, which is
right.
more joyous, more happy. And then
Yep.
you have Psalms of or hymns of praise. So
Right.
praising the Lord, and all that good stuff. And what it was interesting is that we have, and actually we have confessional songwriting. When this is crazy. We have the beginning. What's nuts is that this is the beginning of Western music. Now, you did not have this in the Greeks. There's no Greeks did not. They left their tragic plays, for example, by
Yeah. Yeah.
Sophocles and your boy Oedipus Rex. That
Yeah.
remember, Mother, I want to.
Yeah. Jim Morrison. Yep. He
Uh,
was a fucking genius
oh, dude, don't get me started
to
on
put
that.
that in there. You know, like
Don't,
he was studied. He
and think
studied.
about actually going back. Ding, ding, ding. The end, ding, those weird, like it sounds like how these Psalms, because if we went back in time and we heard some of these Psalms sung, it would kind of be spooky because
Yeah.
again, they're getting very, I don't want to say primitive, but it's very like at its core, maybe it's hitting what Pythagoras said about these notes, these strings, these
Right.
universal, you know,
Yeah.
sounds that today, that's why today's music just is total shite,
I I
but
know.
dude, we have the beginning
It's
of
much
genre.
better in what
And
year is
King
this now?
David was a Bob Dylan of music when he sinned against God and pretty much committed adultery. Do you know what he did? Bible
Uh,
history.
I don't remember.
Okay. He saw this beautiful woman bathing outside his window nude. Beautiful
Yeah.
woman.
Yeah.
Bathsheba or Bathsheba. Bathsheba was
That Sheba going
Bathsheba.
back to the Conjuring.
Oh, well, dude, that's what I'm saying. But you got this woman, he gets tempted. Now he's already married.
Yeah.
And he
Well,
decides,
he's a rock star.
well, he's a rock star. He decides to go after this woman, has a husband. No worries. I'm gonna send the husband to the front lines of a war, gets killed, hooks up with Bathsheba, and what ends up happening is that God strikes down his first son. You have committed sin. You are now no longer my favorite one. This plunges King David into such, and you can see it in the songs of lament. It's depression. It is melancholy. And he
Metal.
writes
It's fucking metal.
dude, and he writes these psalms, and
Wow.
where he's like, my foes are against me, my enemies are, I have sinned again. Like you can read it. It's
Yeah.
actually, I read it to some of my students, and they're like, Mister, I don't like it's too depressing. I'm like, but you have the beginnings of the songwriter here.
He's the grunge
Like,
era.
dude, this is my dude. He went through eras. He had his pop star, he had his grunge
Yeah.
era.
He had his Taylor Swift era. Now this is the grunge genre.
I'm telling you, man. Like,
Yo, we just broke some ground
dude,
on a Cheech and
and
Manny show.
that's we have one of the major maybe little puddles of you going back to your waterman. I'm telling you
Yeah.
that the King David in the Psalms, he developed the idea of a songbook, a
Yeah.
tradition,
Hmm.
and then he lyrics. He now most people don't think of prayers as lyrics, but dude, they are
It's
lyrics.
totally lyrics.
They're
Yeah.
poetry.
Yeah.
When you probably seen this when you can see this for anybody out there Roman Catholic. If you
Yeah.
ever see a priest, they sometimes sing some of the prayers.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not trying to make mockery of this, but you'll hear like, in the
Our
name of the
Father.
Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Right, right,
Like,
right, right. Now
Amen.
that that's coming from Gregorian chant. Well, that's coming from
Well,
David.
that's Gregorian chant in my theory, and I know don't hate on me. I have my own esoteric theories. I know people
Let me
without.
just say you something. You just sing a musical theory. Amen is a plagal cadence,
Whew,
and it's the four to the one in a
look
major
at
chord.
oh my
You have the five an authentic cadence, which is five to the one. Then you have your traditional 5-4-1, which is every Chuck Berry's every blues song. Dun, 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 dun,
dude,
dun, dun,
we're
dun, dun,
hitting
you know,
something right now, man. Like that
dude,
is
this is insane.
insane. I'm telling you, that's why I was trying to tell you that we're trying to explore. we're focusing on the Western music. So for our
Yeah,
viewers out
yeah,
there, we're not focusing on Indian music. We'll have maybe extra episodes on that later.
yeah.
You
That's
know,
some heavy
that's a
shit.
whole
Yeah,
nother. That's all. We're focusing on like the
but like I won't say that that stuff is too far off as far as the purpose of it. The
Oh no, no,
purpose.
no. I'm saying some viewers are gonna be like, what about Asian music? Or what about?
Yeah, yeah,
And again, we're not talking about Spanish music or whatever, but we're talking about
yeah,
more like because again, Western music, the popularity. Now, I'll be honest with you, there is a Western music tradition, and
yeah,
so we're on live right now. We're seeing the origins of. This is a prototype. What you just said of like what we're gonna see in rock much later, and like
yeah.
pop music.
So let's go over his genres again, just so we could make just and kind of compare them to modern times, so people can understand what we're saying.
Yeah, okay. So going back here, now he developed, how we have like you know how we have you don't understand what the songbook tradition? Do you know
Oh, of course.
you
Like
understand, right? There's the
okay,
Gershwin,
cool.
there is the Urban Berlin songbook,
Of
where
course.
there is the Cole Porter songbook. I'm talking about
And then
we're gonna talk about this later.
in jazz music, Chick Corea from Return to Forever, the great keyboardist, invented the real book. And that's a songbook of all the greatest jazz tunes ever made. It's like the jazz Bible. So yeah, I totally get it, you know.
Dude, okay, great. So what I was gonna tell you is that so first you had okay, genres. Now, in within the 150 Psalms, again, these would be like the Bob Dylan songbook.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he has there's this thing for anything. Like, and
yeah.
so we have, for example, Psalms of Lamentations. These are your grunge, these are your gothic, these are dealing with death, decay, sadness, depression,
It's like
failure.
metal, Devlin Sabbath.
Dude, it is dark. And can I quote a Psalm of Lamentation for you?
Yeah.
So viewers out there can see one of my favorites, but again, it is depressing. I'm not gonna lie, but one of my favorites is look at this. I'm gonna bring actually let me uh finally my Catholic knowledge is actually used for something here. My Catholic knowledge.
See? See,
But look at
dude?
this. A Psalm of David. It's called titled A Penitent Sufferer's Plea for Healing.
Holy shit.
O Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger or discipline me in your wrath, for your arrows have sunk into me and your hand has come down on me.
Oh
And
my
that
God.
begins, and that's an intense song
Sounds
written
like
by,
Metallica.
oh Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger.
Totally, dude.
Dude, I'm surprised no metal band has decided
Oh,
to do
I
like,
think I got an idea. I'm gonna tell Bobby.
dude, Bobby's gonna love this. Yeah, you guys.
I wonder if a Christian metal band ever did this. Somebody's had to.
That's a
Somebody's had to put this to
great
metal.
point. That's a great point. Okay, that's a song of lamentation. But then you also have more you have Psalms of Thanksgiving, where this would be more like the love Psalms. And here we're talking about our love for God. Like,
Right.
oh Lord, you are great. Like, I
Are you
love
talking like AM Gold, soft rock?
Hey, yeah, this is the AM Gold where everything's all good. God, you're great. Life is good. And then you have the Psalms of Praise. Now, these would be sort of like your feel-good tunes. So
Right, right,
this is
right.
like, everybody loves these. If I can give you an example of a Psalm of Praise, for example, we have one of the most famous, actually one of the last ones, actually, Psalm 150. um,
Right.
if I can read a little bit here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And again, these are your okay. So Thanksgiving is more like AM soft gold. We're talking about it's just happy. And then I would argue the praise ones are more like pop tunes uh
Yeah.
and if I
Commercial radio.
yeah, they're so accessible. Everybody loves them. Everybody has their favorite as well. I'm gonna pull it up right now. Sorry, guys. I'm using phone, but it's being so Psalm 150. Praise the Lord. Look at this. Praise the Lord. Praise God in his sanctuary. Praise him in his mighty firmament. Praise him for his mighty deeds. Praise him according to his surpassing greatness. praising with trumpet sound, right? That sounds kind of like a
Right.
cool like song. But yeah, these are just happy. These are everybody loves these. These are your pop tunes. These are Psalms of pop.
Hold on 1 second. Uh, I just I could go another half hour if you want to keep.
You sure?
Yeah. Because I just got a text from
Okay. But
somebody.
yeah, we have the beginnings of the origins of
Yeah,
genres here. So I think it's
we
pretty cool.
got pop, we got metal, we got AM gold. Now,
I
did
would
anyone
argue
put
like
it
I would argue metal, grunge, or anything depressing music.
right, like Fade to Black by Metallica? But now, did anyone ever Jethro Tull, the the Psalm? Is he doing? Is it Ian Anderson using any biblical ideas?
Dude, him 43. He takes the Psalm idea and but this time he invents his own genre, although I can't go full on with it. But
Yeah,
it's now he takes Psalms of critique,
right.
where he says, "My Father high in heaven," and that's why
Yeah,
he adds those piano lines. Like that's like,
right.
you know, he builds on that Psalm tradition.
Is he? So he's
And
taking the
oh, dude, thick as a brick. That's his take on the Greek tragic poem. He makes an epic poem. And that's the musical accompaniment,
right,
which is nuts what he does. And actually, if you listen to the second half of Aqualung, building a lot of these traditions, it's a scathing. Now, his is a scathing critique on religion, but he's
right,
building on the simplicity of the Psalms.
right. But he's doing it in the Psalm way,
And when he
so he
plays the flute
knows.
as well.
Right, he knows
Because
his
they
shit.
had flutes. They had also we
Yeah,
didn't talk about the flute.
they had
They
wooden
had the
flutes back
beginnings of the
then.
wind
Yeah.
instrument.
So as thick as the brick, he's using Greek
He's taking the,
tragedies,
for example, he's
comedy.
taking the Homeric, and let's just keep it with Greek epic poetry, and I guess Mesopotamia with Gilgamesh, even though that's more like well, in their eyes, religion, but he's taking the epic poem format, putting the progressive rock tune is the musical accompaniment to the
Right.
epic poem.
Wow. Has
That's,
anybody figured this out?
I'll be honest, yeah, I don't think so. I had that idea. Good thing you reminded me. Ian Anderson
Wow.
is a genius of
Oh, it's
such
fucking brilliant.
superb level. Yeah.
So we might be inventing, discovering things like musical archaeologists that people aren't
And,
doing.
and let me give you an example. When Ian Anderson sings in Thick as a Big, well, Billy don't mind if you go, and then like you can
That's
imagine
the Psalm.
what would have a psalm look like back then? Like, like it
Yeah.
would have been like, and I would argue Ian Anderson with Thick as a Brick is more Greek tragedy. Like it's like his version of
Of
the
the Lyre.
Odyssey, his
Right.
version of the Iliad, his version of the Epic of Gilgamesh. He makes this
Yeah.
epic poem and
Right.
makes the epic tune to accompaniment, right?
Right.
And then on Aqualung, on the second half, and in particular hymn 43, he takes on that psalm tradition, but this time he invents his own genre, the
Right.
scathing critique of religion. Where, but
Yeah.
it's great because because he sings like "Our Father high in heaven,"
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I love those. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's going at God. He's not really praising God.
He's not even aiming at God. He's aiming at what institutionalized religion, actually the institution of King David, because he institutionalizes the orchestra, the Psalms,
Right. So he's kind of poking at King
at the
David.
hypocrisy, you hypocrites. Like,
Yeah. He's pulling a Roy Harper, who was his influence, of
the
course.
100%. But dude, Jethro Tull
See,
is
it all goes back. It all
that
it all
progressive
falls
rock
back.
got it, man.
Yeah, they did, man. And we figured it out. I don't think there's a podcast that when you just said ever I think we invented
I,
something here.
I
I think
don't.
we discovered not invented, we discovered
Yep.
being rock and roll archaeology right
Right.
here.
Right. And we're talking
Digging and
about rock
digging,
and roll. Right. Right.
you know. Wow. Insanity, man. That was a great explanation of the Psalms, the pop songs of the time of King David. Give me a year.
Oh, we're talking about, if I remember correctly, like before Christ, we're talking about Let me see. I'm gonna look it up, but I think it's you don't have it in your notes, right? I think don't.
I I'm gonna say one. Oh, hold on. I don't know if I put a year for him. Fuck. I didn't put a year for King David because
So it's crazy. Okay, if I remember correctly, we're talking about dude like 900,000 years before Christ, and that's
nine
before
nine
dude.
hundred.
Yes, and that's according to biblical archaeologists and historians.
Right.
So if we put a timeline, we're talking about like 900, 800, 900,000 years before Jesus.
Holy shit.
We're talking about a long time.
That's a long time before. Wow. And 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 those psalms were sung. Jesus would have sung those psalms.
Dude, Jesus dying on the cross quotes a psalm.
Damn.
He's quoting them all the time. When he says, um, just so if I can give you example, yeah, dude, um, look at this. So, for, for example, like when Jesus is dying on the cross, um, he famously, do you remember some of his famous last words?
No.
So a lot of people don't get this right, but um, he has this, he's literally dying, and he says, my God, why have you forsaken me?"
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's not now. Obviously, he's poor. Jesus is in agony and pain and
yeah.
sorrow and depression. Dude, he's quoting Psalm 22.
Wow. And that would be the grunge psalm or
That
the
obviously
Sabbath
what's
psalm.
happening to
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Jesus and Psalms go hand in hand. Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit. That's insane.
Hmm.
That's just like, oh my God, dude. This is mind fucking again. You know, like all the stuff we're coming up with.
No.
So,
And look, this is from Psalm 22. I'm just gonna read a random version. I think this is like the New International Version. Um, well, actually, I can search up so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Yeah, Jesus uses Psalms all the time. Now,
right.
what's really weird though is that, and again, this would be kind of like Christianity. I know
Yeah.
people, I don't know who's watching our show, but uh, we might be converting some souls, man.
We
Just,
might
just joking.
through through music.
But I don't know if you knew this. King David was speaking to Jesus when he was composing the Psalms. Let that
Wow.
sink in. I'm just going to leave that there. But what's interesting in Psalm 22, look at this. A plea for deliverance from suffering and hostility. This is a song about deliverance from when you're suffering or against hostile people.
Yeah.
And he says, to the leader, according to the deer of the dawn, a psalm of David. Now, that's also interesting. According to the deer of the dawn, he says, the Psalm 22 is one that Jesus quotes from the cross. Um, and just think about deer of the dawn. That's that. I mean, I'm not gonna make this a religion show, but dude, the psalm
Oh,
is so mysterious. But look at this. Verse 1. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me? From the words of my groaning. And mind you, he's writing this like 900 years before Jesus. Oh my God, I cry by day, but you do not answer, and by night, but find no rest. Yet you are holy, enthroned on the praises of Israel. In you our ancestors trusted. They trusted and you delivered them. To you they cried and were saved, and you they trusted and were not put to shame. And look at this, but I am a worm and not human, scorned by others and despised by the people. I knew it. Getting really grunt. Yeah, this sounds like Pearl Jam Alice in Chain lyrics here.
exactly. And this is from a girl, Bathsheba.
Oh no, no, no. This is a Psalm of David.
But he's not singing this about Bathsheba after he got God pissed him off. God,
No, I mean I'm not trying to make this a religion because otherwise it would be all night. I could
but the,
that no, that one is not for his no. Bathsheba caused them to fall from grace.
and write but to
He
write the darker
writes a lot of
songs.
Psalm of Lamentations when these are
Right.
heartbreaking.
But
These
this
are
isn't a lamentation song.
no, it's a weird one. It can be, but when you read it, it's kind of uh it could be. but this is a weird one. This is a very poetic one. Let me quote you another line from the same psalm. He says here, many bulls encircle me. Strong bulls of Bashan surround me. They open wide their mouths at me like a raving and roaring lion. Like this one, you would have to you would need some time to dissect this one.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it could be, but there's more to it than that. Now,
Right.
Psalm of the Bathsheba, Psalm 38, where he realized what he did. He committed adultery. He had Bathsheba's husband killed. He got the woman, but the woman eventually was sort of like a succubus slash Lamia who
Yes.
caused his downfall from grace. But God, because he came back repentant, forgives him, but it drove him to depression.
So who comes to mind when you think about that psalm?
Musician wise,
Yeah, what rock singer sings that in every song?
hold on. 60s or Eric Clapton?
70s, and he's dead. He died now. A shameful death, unfortunately.
Who?
Brad Delp.
I was gonna say, I see my Marianne
I
walking
see
away,
my Bathsheba.
walking away.
See, temptation.
Yep,
Holy
yep,
shit,
yep, yep.
And it always is an influence of a woman
Yes,
to a
yes.
degree in music that makes a man
Oh,
sing.
dude,
And that goes back to King
100.
David's fall is a woman
Yep.
that made him write that song.
And it caused his breakup from God. So that's the
Right.
thing. He caved into this, and then
He
there's a
got
lot.
dropped by his label, his major
I'll be
label.
honest with you. You said I fell into the hands of a Venus de Milo. Poor David fell
Oh,
into the hands of a Venus de Milo.
he
And when
did.
he realized what he'd done, went into a depression. He apparently took all his clothes off, put ash. Now, back in those days, when you had to repent, you put ashes and didn't eat or drink for 7 days in repentance and literally
Did,
laid
did,
down on the
did,
ashes.
did God forgive him?
He did, but
Okay.
at that point, the damage was done. And
Yeah.
King David wasn't the same anymore. But the good news is that out of that, and I think he did marry Bathsheba, came the mighty King Solomon.
No. Oh, so King Solomon's mother's Bathsheba.
Yeah,
Oh wow. Um, did King David kill somebody with a slingshot?
Goliath, and beheaded him,
Goliath.
took his head
Exactly.
off.
Exactly. All right. Now I'm getting it. Now it's coming back. It's
That's the
coming
young King
back.
David. It's straight from the
Young
Bible.
King David. Young King
Young King
David.
David
My
goes against
catechism.
Goliath,
Yeah.
who, by the way, Goliath was one of the last Nephilim
Right.
giants,
Right.
one of the last
Right. Right.
giants.
Supposedly they're finding bones of these people.
Dude, people don't want to believe, but there's some
Joe
truth.
Rogan did a show on this.
Mhm.
In this part of the world, they
Yep.
find gigantic
Goliath
people.
Goliath is one of these last like giants, like
Yeah.
and again, the giants also provide inspiration for the Cyclops in the Odyssey.
Right.
Giants, these monstrous giants. But yeah, he actually kills Goliath, beheads him,
It,
and
it just took me back to catechism. I remember thinking, how fucking cool
yes,
is that? You
yes,
know, how
which is
he
true,
goes,
but that's a true story.
yes,
It actually did
yeah,
happen. So
yeah.
yeah, all right, but we can
Wow.
close the book. This is King David though, and we can like jump to the next topic.
Yeah,
Unless you
you
have any
want
other
to
last minute questions.
no, you covered it. So basically, wanted to do a recap. We got King, so going back, the Greeks would be like like Chuck Berry, Buddy Holly, Elvis, the Forerunner, or Robert Johnson, even.
There
You
would
could
be
say,
more like, yeah, no. Okay, here's the thing. Mesopotamia would be the Robert Johnson.
right.
Greeks are more like the Chuck Berry. They're getting
Mm,
popular,
yeah, yeah,
getting
yeah.
really accessible. Because remember, the Greeks and Athenian arts, and they were famous. I mean,
Yeah,
everyone
yeah.
knew about that. Even
Right.
Jesus' apostles and Jesus' people,
Yeah.
they knew about Greek culture. Like they knew about these plays and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
It would be like the influence of Chuck Berry. He was hated and loved by two camps.
Right. And then it moves up now to the Beatles because King
Got
David is
we
100%.
got the making of a rock star.
He's Robert Plant. He's John Lennon and Paul
My
McCartney.
boy picked up the Lyre and was like, "Ding, ding," like apparently
He
it was
was
really
rocking
good.
out to get to get the chicks. He got
Yo,
Bathsheba.
listen, yeah, yeah,
Wow. So we're this, and he invented this genre. The Psalms
I
are
argue these are the beginnings of genres. These droplets that we're talking about, which is going to lead to the ocean of water.
yeah,
And this is important because, again, this is the music. Now, music, in terms of what we think, it's not music as what we think.
right, right.
It's not that it's primitive, but it's more used in religion.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
only way that you would hear some of these psalms for the average Joe
It'd be a mass
is no, not, they didn't call it mass, they call it synagogue or
synagogue.
go to
Yeah,
the temple for worship. They would
right.
hear the choirs of men outside the temples, or sometimes inside too.
Yeah,
Or sometimes, uh, yeah, that's the only way they would hear this. Greek tragedies too. You would have to go to
right.
one of these shows
Yeah,
and hear it. Now, again, the Greek tragic plays, though, plays had no music. Maybe they did, but most like now all the
yeah.
time. Or watch a performance of the tragic, I'm sorry,
Right.
epic poems, then you would hear some music,
So
or
to go
or be part of the priests because you would
right.
hear it all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're an average Joe who's living in this time and you want to hear some music, you'd have to go to the synagogue to
Essentially,
pray.
yeah. You don't wake up and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna turn on some psalms."
I can't wait to put on what did
No,
you call the depression
no.
song? The
Lamentation,
Lamentations, man.
lamentation,
What are you
man.
doing
Yeah,
later,
my
bro?
God.
Man, you want to go to the synagogue and hear some lamentations later on and fucking rock out? But we are on to something here. We're on to the beginnings of how people listen to music.
Mhm.
Number one, by going to the synagogue, by
Yeah,
going to, let's just say, the theater,
yeah.
Greek, comedy and tragedy, or hearing Pythagoras play the lyre to the people.
Now
And
remember,
yet,
though, Pythagoras was like secret knowledge. He didn't open to the public. You had
okay,
to join his so-called church, but in actuality, it was a school. But
yeah,
he
the
thought it was no,
Pythagorean school. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
he thought it was knowledge to safeguard.
Right,
It
right.
was kind of
And that
interesting.
still, that still exists.
Oh,
People, that's
100%.
that's a Freemason thing. That's what the
102, the
when
pyramidal structures of music. He literally
yeah,
thought that he was onto
when
something.
you join the Freemasons,
Yep,
this is the kind of thing, this secret, and this is secret knowledge,
yep,
that like you'd have to really find and dig and get the books on it. On Pythagoras is somebody that the Freemasons study. Um, so this is insane. How we're comparing modern music to the Mesopotamians, to the Greeks, all the way up to King David, who was Elvis and the Beatles, and he invented the genres. So, people, if you're still with us, when you're listening to that new Drake, that you downloaded, you have to thank King David. Because
I
King,
would say so. Yeah.
you don't even have to be religious. You don't have to
That's
even worship.
that is a great point because again, where does all this come from? I mean, most people don't bother asking themselves, why do we listen to music?
Yeah, yeah,
And like you said, therapeutic. I mean, these early
right.
they figured out that there is some sort of therapy that's associated with music.
Well, think of what is music? It's therapy. It makes
It's
you
a
feel
sense of
good.
therapy, as like you said, the
Yeah.
Greek philosopher said.
It moves your emotion. It could destroy you. You can hear a song like I don't know, cats. I hear Cats in the Cradle. I'm fucking broken. You know what I mean? Or if you hear More Than a Feeling, you're just like, oh, you put Aces High or Xanadu. Yeah, you want to fucking rock. Marriage of Figaro. Don Giovanni. You get this feeling. So
Yep.
there's so much power. So. Thank you, King David. We owe
Thank,
it all to you.
thank you, King David.
That's
And dude, and just one more thought before we move on to this train of King David.
yeah,
I'll be honest with you, he invented the Jewish songbook. No one ever added to the Psalms. Sure, there might have been some outside Psalms, maybe,
yeah,
or
yeah,
some, but dude, this became the center of worship for 1,000 years. Solomon didn't invent no Psalms. He was more of a philosopher. He invented he that's another story. Wisdom.
yeah, yeah.
Dude, these were the same Psalms. I'm using both words interchangeable, prayers
Yeah.
that would be used for 1,000 years up until the arrival of Christ. And to this day, they are still being used. And I'll add one more thing. This was the inspiration for Christian gospel music from the African Americans. This is
Wow.
the origins of rock and roll because again, out of this will come what we're gonna find out later with like the early Delta blues and
So the gospel music
dude, they're
goes
all
back to
psalms. They're
it goes
all
back to
psalms.
King David.
They're all from the man of King
And
David.
and then taken from the gospel music becomes the blues.
Cheech, gospel is not even a genre. Yeah, it's a genre, 100%. But
Yeah.
dude, they're the psalms.
Yeah.
And out of that tradition, African Americans began composing their own versions. But
Right.
it
Right.
comes from that tradition of the psalms.
And then from that they put a twist, a demonic twist on it, a little a darker twist, and it
What
became the blues.
with the blues musicians who realized, whoa, like why don't we take that temp? Now, by the way, if I can make one more connection, Elvis Presley. There's a movie called I think it's called Elvis on
Yeah.
Netflix. Have you seen it? It came out a few years ago.
I think so.
Elvis
Yeah. Yeah.
biopic. I
Yeah.
tell you, it's fantastic.
The
I
guy
love
looked
it.
just like him.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I actually loved it. I know a lot of people
Yeah.
critique his performance. I loved it. I even loved the
Yeah.
Queen movie too. But anyway,
Oh,
but
oh, I love the
I
Queen
loved
movie.
it. I know a lot of people also critique his performance, but dude, you get to see history and movies. But anyway,
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw Elvis. One of the best scenes, Elvis, white boy, goes into a black church
Yeah.
and everybody's going to a frenzy. You ever seen like, praise
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Lord,
Yeah.
like you seen probably Blues Brothers with
Yeah.
with that great scene with why am I forgetting his name? I should be shot, like you said.
Dan Aykroyd,
No, no, no,
John Belushi,
no, 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 no. When they're in the church and cameo appearance by
George Carlin. No, no, no,
no, no, no, James Brown.
oh,
He
James
Yeah,
Brown. Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's like, and he's showing you the origins of rock and roll with the
Yeah.
Christian stuff. But anyway, Elvis in the movie, I actually believe this was true because Elvis will be haunted by gospel music. He goes into a church and he listens to the music and he loves it so much he enters a trance. Like,
Right.
and he discovers something here. But anyway, the point is like with the churches in Africa, and again, this was also in all Christian churches.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but what the African Americans did was they began putting more feeling and umph into it, and some African music, and again, hymns are based on the Psalms. There's so
Yeah.
much hymns, but they're
Yeah.
actually based ultimately on the Psalms and
Yeah.
songs of worship because these are the songs of worship,
So,
dude. And
bottom line, rock and roll comes from the Psalms written
I
by King.
argue it's one of there's like a lot of origins. It's one of them.
Yeah, and it comes from gospel.
Mm.
Gospel comes from that. Then blues is a derivative of that.
Blues will come later with the more of the pole boys instrument, the guitar.
The guitar, yeah. But it all comes back to King David
And the
Psalms.
guitar, Lyre, hello.
I know.
It's pretty
And the darker side of things,
and this time the devil is gonna give
the
he's gonna get
devil's
his
gonna
due.
help
He's
out.
gonna give the
I,
devil's chord.
Ike Zimmerman's gonna
Right.
pop out. I want, and then I wonder the history of the tritone because I
Oh,
know it goes back. It
that's a
goes
great
back to Bach. It goes back to Bach's time, and
right.
you couldn't use it. You couldn't use that in music. That was a sin. You could not use the tritone.
Right.
you know. But just a quick fun fact. So, all right, want to leave it here, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Gregorian chant,
Yeah,
or
let's
you
let's
want?
start let's start it out. We have 10 minutes. So let's
Yeah,
and then we'll segue next week into starting with Gregorian chant. But yeah. So
yeah.
while you're
Maybe because Gregorian chant's going to be heavy. So
well,
because
let's go ahead.
I got a lot of shit on it, But
Oh,
so
how about
like
this? How about this? We'll do a 12-minute wrap of Cheech and Manny style. Well, pause it.
yeah, yeah.
Bookmark. All right, dude. So
And
yeah, dude, that's crazy. Dude, the Jethro Tull, you're making me think because it's like, man, you can't. It doesn't get better than this. Like,
no, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, I'm trying to think of like other music. I think Ian Anderson did it the best. I don't think anyone else has ever done that. Taking
what?
Greek influence and then taking King David and influence. It's insane. It's insanity. You know, uh, amazing how that falls into there. And it all goes back to King. It just amazes me how we just figured this out. It all
Right,
comes
right.
back to King David,
Yeah,
back through the line, Greece, Egypt, Mesopotamia, and they all kind of have their own style.
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
from their
But
influence.
what's interesting is that we do, but what's really fascinating, as far as I know, could be discovered, I could be wrong, but there's no songbook. There's no book of prayers. You know,
Right.
there's not, and again, yes, the Psalms are prayers, first and
Well,
foremost.
I think it was a verbal tradition, like, taught, sung generation after generation, and say Egypt, maybe Mesopotamia.
Right,
That's
right.
how.
And I
There was
agree,
nothing.
but the thing is, like, music wasn't passed on though like that though. Not and my argument is like with Psalms, there's not really a musical component, but David
Yeah.
institutionally, you pretty much created one of the first scenes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
because again, now again going back to the Greeks, yeah, they like Pythagoras, like they're more like theoreticians, they're theorists.
Yeah.
While we got the Mesopotamians who were handed this like devil's instrument, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it is mysterious where it came from. It actually is very
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
And so it's not a coincidence when many years later, Robert Johnson receives the guitar back from, could it have been the fallen angel, the devil? Who knows?
Ike Zimmerman. You
And
never
he
know.
got the ability to play, you know, um, uh, the secret notes and scales
Yeah.
and um the singer Leonard Cohen
Yeah. Leonard Cohen.
in the song Hallelujah sings this the
Yep.
David learned the secret chord.
Yep.
Very brilliant lyric because again, yeah, we're dealing with like,
Yeah.
music and the origins of what's gonna
And
head
you
in.
you just made me uh move up a couple thousand years to the Renaissance, which we're gonna get to. Ave Maria was written.
By Schubert.
Was it Schubert who wrote that? Or
Oh
was
no, I'm sorry, I'm thinking,
it was like it was like 1300s, I think Ave Maria came out.
hmm.
It was like what a beautiful
I'm talking about,
melody.
Ave Maria,
Yeah.
gratia. That's Schubert. Which
No, the
Ave
one you
Maria are
hear
you talking about?
the one you hear in church.
Which one?
The one they play at like funerals and shit, the most
Does it go
beautiful.
like this? Dun, 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 dun.
I can't remember.
Send it to me
No,
then. Let me check it out.
it's like Ave Maria. It just brings you to tears every time you hear it.
Send it to me later. And let me find
Yeah,
out.
I gotta find it. But whenever I hear it, I thought it was Renaissance period. But anyway, like it's just like how is every well that's just going into the future. Right now we're just staying in
Like wrap
900
up,
years.
Cheech Manny style, like final
Yeah,
thoughts.
not 900 years before Christ. Like, I mean, who's talking about this stuff? So kids, like when you have your headphones, your earbuds in, think about this. Think about where the music came from and how you got to listen to it, how you got to listen to music. And
It has a religion origin, and I think we gotta thank King David.
it all goes back to King David.
In
It
my
definitely
opinion,
does.
I know people will disagree with us. We're not religious, but it's kind of hard to deny.
It kind of is. I mean, you don't have to be religious,
No,
okay,
no.
I would argue an atheist on this. They might say, well, where does music come from? The Greeks, but the Greeks didn't really, you know, write it down. King David wrote this shit down.
He wrote the
Give me,
Psalms, and there had to been compositions like there.
yeah, give
Now
me,
obviously, now you know what's fascinating? The Greeks were, musical notation. I wonder who invented that. Now,
that's a good
I
one.
know it started with Pythagoras. I know that, like
Yeah,
for a certainty. But it's
yeah,
fascinating how with King David, he didn't write musical notation down. He
no,
actually, I would argue, he had no awareness of it.
right. He was
As
just,
far as I know, but he knew, and obviously he knew how to play these strings. So that's also another mystery because we don't really have.
that's insane.
Now
Like,
I
I
never
mean,
musical. Now later on, jumping later with musical notation,
yeah,
This is
when you
gonna
go to
play a
math.
big role in Gregorian chants because they're gonna start notating. And
Yeah,
this will
definitely.
lead into composers mastering the skill. And this time, driving full-scale orchestras doing the work of Gregorian ch choir men chant, but this time instruments. So
Right,
when
right.
Mozart's talking to Salieri, boom, 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 like
Yeah.
he's no down
Yeah.
there. Well, time, he's like time, time, time,
Yeah, yeah,
it,
yeah.
like
It all goes back to the Psalms, you know.
it's crazy. I do wonder how they, because there's no evidence of musical notation like we have from that time period.
I would say Renaissance period.
What did they teach
Maybe.
you at the music school?
That's something that either I forgot or I never like who started to write down
I,
notes.
I just had this I
Actually,
just had this
no,
insight right now.
but
And
that
also think about it,
no,
dude. Why is King
but,
David first rock star? Because like the rock stars, they didn't understand music theory. They just
right.
played.
Yeah, that's so
Dude,
true.
how
No, but
nuts is that?
I take it back. It's Pythagoras who wrote down
It's
the first
Pythagoras.
notes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
he
Greeks
invented.
invented musical theorem, right?
Well, yeah, he because now the Greeks, Pythagoras took music from nature. He would use melodies from the birds.
And especially when you say like going back, yes, and it's really for me, it's too much information. And I was trying to read on Pythagoras' theorems, and
It's
whew, they're
insane.
gonna hurt
Yeah,
your head.
he's
And
crazy.
when you mention I'm gonna make this up. I'm not a musician like you, but when you say quarter tones, tritones, this tones,
Yeah,
you're splitting these like it's for me. I'm like whoa,
he
like
he figured it out through birds, the wind, um, the ocean.
and quoting King Crimson, I talk to the wind.
Yeah.
That's
So the
kind of
wind the wind has a pitch when it goes.
right.
And people like Pythagoras heard that and they noted it as music. Now the
And that is
birds,
natural science, aka natural philosophy.
yeah. And the birds, I saw a documentary on birds. They took maybe 20 years of a bird, of a mother bird teaching a baby bird how to sing.
How stunning is that? Yeah.
Now, each different bird, when that bird grew up and had babies, he would teach it
It's
to
the
his
same
babies.
thing. And it's
But
we have bird
no,
calls.
no, there was a variation.
No, no, no.
You never,
Dude, I literally was gonna beat you to it. And I took a class in animal psychology in college, one of the best courses I've ever taken because
yeah,
it really there are people who study bird sounds, bird
yeah,
songs. And
yeah,
dude, they have their own variations on what they
yeah.
learn. And so when you hear a bird call, if you hear listen very carefully, they have different pitches. And depending on
And rhythm. The
no,
rhythm
it's
changes.
actually pretty stunning. And the songbird idea is such a beautiful birds sing. And they do
But
this.
they're communicating. It's
Well,
actually their
that's what no,
language.
no, and these different pitches that they also build on variations also have
Yeah.
different purposes. So when they're calling on mates, they'll have their own like males will have their own song pitches, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
stunning, dude, that they
And the
learn from their
rhythm,
parents.
I remember like, walking from my car to work and I'll hear a bird and I'll try to figure out I'll set a beat of 4/4 and it'll be like, tweety tweet. Then it'll be off, then it'll be on like on beat three of the next measure. Tweet, 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 tweet. It's never like tweet,
No,
tweet, 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 tweet,
no,
tweet. It's
no, like
never.
we say, no.
It's insane how and this brain, this head of a bird is so tiny,
But it
and it
just
has this.
proves the what Pythagoras said about the music of the universe, and he was unlocking something. And so it's not
Yeah,
far-fetched how King David would be born with this ability to
yeah,
copy what the songbird does. This
yeah,
time
exactly.
using the lyre,
Yeah,
going back to his primitive instrument, who, by the way, esoterically Hermes handed on. Now, who knows where they got this? I'm not
yeah.
sure. I'm not sure.
I'm thinking that traveling people from Mesopotamia.
But where did they get it from? Did they just pick up? Think of, dude, today's people. Are they inventing instruments today?
No, no.
So think
Yeah, I
about it.
mean the turntables and like that kind of thing, but it's
Sure,
not really.
man.
I mean, I'm not gonna knock it, but yeah, I think
But
that's
that's been
the
the 80s. That's been since the 80s.
yeah the last instrument to be invented not like okay, there's five string basses or six string basses. Yeah, like new. They're just additions. You know, they're adding additions to instruments. But the coolest sound to come out as an instrument is a turntable, I think. In this is 30, 40 years, like Grandmaster
But
Flash.
not today. What? But that's old.
No, but when you think about how they used a turntable, how they took the turntable, which is a record player, which is just meant the usage is a record to be played on it. And they made that record a an instrument by scratching and spinning it and doing different things. So that was the last, I think, unique instrument I consider it an instrument. I mean, not in the context like, but like I can't do it. I tried to scratch. I was in a band, a funk band, and we did a couple shows with a DJ. I said, could you teach me? Dude, you know how hard that shit is hard to learn because like I just make it sound like I'm destroying the records. There's a certain way that you
You
got
know
to
what's funny with
watch,
that? Now what they're doing there though is that you have the turntable just plays records, right?
Yeah,
Essentially, all they're doing is now sort of getting really creative with the turntable. So,
yes,
and
yeah,
eventually this will lead to, like you said, the invention of the DJ table, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
productive, they realize, oh, there's a market for this. Like, why not?
yeah.
And we'll make it
To
easy.
me, to me, that was the last
But
cool
you're
invention.
right. Yeah, I guess.
I can't think of anything.
But my point was, no, who would have thought to invented the Lyre? Like, you would think with all technology we have today, we'd invent better instruments and the cooler ones.
You can't. You can't. No,
What's going
no.
on, man?
The Lyre is, one of the coolest things in the world to be invented, and they're not inventing that now. What are they inventing? I mean, people have done interesting things like I'm trying to think Charles Ives would tune the piano in quarter tones to make it sound out of tune and that kind of thing. But there's no real
Oh,
instrument
no.
that's
I
you know.
think like what's really cool, just and we'll
Oh,
probably talk.
maybe the keyboard that's like a guitar. You know what I mean? The
I guess, like, right? No,
but
but what's fascinating, no one has invented like
an instrument
like
like
really like no one talks about this. But my point is like these people, who would have thought I'm gonna grab a tortoise shell strings, gonna put ding ding, and then decide to make an instrument out of it. I mean, you can't.
yeah,
I feel
because
like there's a puzzle piece missing.
yeah. Who did this? Well, and we'll never know.
Maybe
We'll
archaeology will
never know.
unearth evidence, but it's fascinating how this instrument went back to Mesopotamia, right?
Yeah.
Greeks and ancient empires that used it in religious ceremonies,
Yeah.
if anything, if at that. But obviously with some, I think he popularized it. Like
I think before the Lear, there was vocals and drum beats.
yeah, and that
You
would be
know,
what we would call like primitive music, like more
yeah,
tribal, more.
yeah,
I call it shamanic.
yeah, because you can use your voice to sing. Because like you learn when they were learning how to speak, they would use their voice and they would use to sing. Way before any of this shit. Yeah, going back to cave. If you want to, I know you don't believe in cave people, but like,
Oh
if
no 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 no
like
no no!
who
It's
were
not
the
all for the gay
primitive.
people. I said for people out there, people.
You know what I mean? But like the people that are out like that were out before the Mesopotamians. There had to be people before them. And they had to have music. And it was probably drum beats and it was probably just weird vocal sounds or mimicking animals.
You ever seen the Aboriginal? I think those weird voices, like that weird
Yeah.
instrument. Like
It's a
that's a
wooden
weird.
instrument.
That is
Yeah.
weird. Anyway. But dude, it's eight
Australia,
o'clock.
yeah.
You good?
Yeah, I mean,
Clock it.
I could go for I could go for a couple more minutes if you want, unless you got to go.
This is the final wrap up, and then
Yeah, we'll just
we'll
do a
call it
wrap
there
up, but and then we'll jump into Gregorian chant
next week.
next time. This was heavy. I think we proved a lot of points here, like you said, there might be people that'll disagree, but you know what? This is documented, written down. King David wrote this shit down. It's in the Bible. It's Psalms. No, there's no other form of music written down like this. show me. I would like to talk to somebody who doesn't, who's like, no, no, it doesn't come from that. Where does it come from then? Show me where it comes from. Right?
And think about it, he also invented the idea of signing up for the band because men would sign up to join the choirs.
So let the tribal
And there
let
would be music schools to teach this.
exactly.
So
And it
we're
led
seeing the origins of like institutionalized music.
so it's music schools. It's like the
Ye-
early
Later on, it's going
Berkeley
to become
College.
an institution. Yeah,
These are usually like a conservatory he's inventing there, you
exactly.
know?
Exactly.
So it all
And
goes,
one more thing, like just, and we'll leave it at my final point, that Jesus at the Last Supper, for example, after they would be singing Psalms, they'll be singing the Psalms.
yeah, yeah,
They'll be at the table and they'll be like, "Oh Lord, how great you are." And then Jesus would be singing with them. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
that's stunning,
I love when the priests do that in the church mass.
I
When
know the line, it was really cool, yeah, where they In nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Amen. Like
Yeah. And that's
crazy.
Gregorian chant.
Yeah.
It's the Psalms,
And,
eventually.
and another one is the Creed, and it's called Creed 3 in Latin, like Creo in nomo Pitium. Ah, na, na. Like dude, it's
And
so
those are
beautiful.
all, what you just saying are all different types of notes going in different
Well, dude, and I
directions.
hope you're gonna talk about this. That's Gregorian chant.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we're gonna talk
Oh
about
man.
this because
And,
Gregorian chant is Western music.
and
Like,
Gregorian chant, just a little quick thing, is all about the syllables being like Ian Anderson, prolonged.
well,
You know,
and that's built on what King David already did. That was the
yeah,
tradition. Like,
yeah.
if you ever
And
get a chance, type in how Psalms were sung, you'll see. Like,
yeah.
you'll see that
And
tradition.
Gregorian chant took it to a new level of
It's it's Psalms perfect. I call it like, you know how I said, like, you know how I said in rock music I said like Led Zeppelin. I know people are gonna hate on me, but Led Zeppelin perfected the blues. I hate to admit it.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Gre-
Gregorian chant choir masters, and yes, you needed a choir master. You don't just you needed a choir
Yeah,
master.
yeah, yeah.
They perfected the Psalms. The
Yeah.
singing of them, it never reached the same heights because then
Hmm.
later we're gonna have the introductions of the orchestras, and this is gonna be
Yeah.
the organs. This time replacing
And
the lyre, but
in the Gregorian chants, you had your Spanish um monasteries, you had your French monasteries. So
you know what the
there's
difference?
this culture.
All of them sung in Latin.
They sing in Latin.
So it was
Yeah.
universal, another institutionalized spreading of Western music and
Right,
another
right,
puddle or droplet.
right. So right now in the water theory, King David, we started off Mesopotamia with just sprinkles of water. We got into Egypt, a little bit more. Greece, the raindrops are getting bigger because it's starting to make sense now. King David, I have him down, and mine is still just big puddle. Like not, it's not a puddle yet, but it's gonna lead. It's like about to form a puddle, and it's gonna be a puddle when the Gregorian chant comes
I
out.
agree with you. I
You
agree.
know. So hopefully people will understand my metaphor of the water to every because the whole point about this is comparing how we listen to music as a metaphor in
What
water.
you're saying is like water being everywhere, like the air we breathe. You're saying like music is water.
Exactly.
It's
It is.
everywhere, and it's probably one of the
Yeah.
most building blocks important for life. H2O, hydrogen, oxygen.
Yeah. And back then you only had droplets, that led
And we talk about,
to
and we're focusing on. I think we're focusing more on Western music. So just
yeah,
for
yeah, what yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
global,
Yeah, we would, but you
not
get to
world
the
music.
oh, you get to the droplets of water where we're at right now, and now we're in an ocean. Now, like we're in the best possible place we could be
Mhm.
to listen to music. Back then, in King David's time, you could only go to the synagogue
Yep.
if you wanted to hear
And
music.
that's if you were lucky enough.
Yeah,
But you would hear it all the time in front of the temple.
right.
And
That's where you
now,
would
mind
hear
you,
it.
now, I'm not talking about during King David's time. I'm talking about now in King David's court, you would hear it. But way many years after, the person coming to Jerusalem to one of the high festivals would hear the
Yeah,
the choirs.
singing it. Yeah, but in King David's time, you had to be special to hear this
You had
music.
to you had to be part of his court, or in
Yeah,
Jerusalem when he dis
right. But the regular person wouldn't have no music.
If you're lucky, no, but they would have these psalms that he would compose memorized.
So they hear it in their heads.
Hmm.
So that's the original earbuds
Kind of,
in the music you hear in your head.
or earworm.
Yeah, you would hear it. You would hear it
They'll
in
try
your
to hear it at tempo and try to memorize it.
memorize it. Yeah. So your brain was the original
And we got the beginnings
earpods.
of quoting lyrics to people, quoting.
Yeah,
But
and they're
using memory, no writing down. They had to use memory.
right, right. Amazing. And this is where people excuse me, they got to understand this where it comes from. This is the point of this series. So the water is the metaphor for how we listen to music, but I really think right now we're in the best spot in the world
I agree
to
with
hear
you, dude.
music. You know?
I agree with you. We'll leave that to more like the ending, like
Yeah,
ultimate conclusions and where to head from
yeah,
musician point of view and like
yeah,
more of a theoretician here, amateur
yeah. Like
one.
I don't agree with the kind of music that's out there. That has
Well,
nothing to do
because
with it.
the thing is, nobody is bothering to realize how special music is and its power, like
Yeah.
what it's able to do. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
More.
Even the worst music to us is the most powerful to that listener. Like Bad Bunny.
100%.
Like Bad Bunny is moving people in some way.
He's definitely that bass note, appetite.
Yeah, yeah. He's definitely in was it with the it was Plato. Plato's bass note of the Lyre.
Dude,
That's
that
Bad
sounds like an
Bunny.
episode onto itself, dude. That's
Well, isn't
fascinating.
that insane? I'm telling you, man, something about you turn me on I mean, I always studied the Greeks, but you turn me on heavily to the big three, you
I'm
know.
telling you
It's
all,
like,
and it's crazy. All of philosophy is there was a famous saying by I think the philosopher's name was North White, I think his last name was. He said that
mhm,
brilliant, I agree with him. Every philosophy is a footnote to Plato and
exactly.
Socrates and
Yeah.
Aristotle. I mean, at the
I
end of
mean,
the day,
those are the three. Like,
it's a
I
Western
mean,
tradition.
I'm writing an episode on Carl Jung. We're getting into him next after hopefully everyone watched our Viktor Frankl. I'm getting nuts on psychology. My head's gonna explode like Nietzsche very soon because I don't know where I'm going with all this shit.
You're gonna like try to save a horse and your brain's gonna snap.
Um, I'm gonna get a copy of the Red Book.
You're gonna be at the temple and you'll be like, no, no, quarter pound.
I'm gonna get a copy of the Red Book and my brain's gonna just go. But Carl Jung.
You're gonna be like the guy in the Quiet Riot album cover. He's like metalhead.
Yeah, it's gonna be me. I overdid it with knowledge that my brain can't handle. My brain's like, no, we weren't made for this. What are you doing? But Young goes back to the Greeks.
Oh, don't, dude.
Like, I
He
mean,
was
we
trying to come up. We'll talk about Jung because building on Freud, but this time he was looking at he's a philosopher, but this time he is building metaphysics, and we're gonna see what he was trying to do and whether his project succeeded or not.
well, anyway, look for looking forward to doing the Carl Jung stuff. And this was a really good beginning of the Tao of music. And the beginnings of where music started for people to listen to and how people performed music. And it all goes back to the real rock star, King David. The Greeks, King David, Mesopotamia,
Got the original
Egypt.
rock star here, man.
Yeah, King David really is. And I would definitely argue with anybody on this. Anyone, who's saying like, no, no, it's not. Then where then, and if you disagree with us, like where is it coming from? Where else? Tell me who actually invented genres or who invented psalms
I agree with you.
that is still sung, whether you
I
believe in the
I
Catholic
I
Church or
agree
not.
with you. Yeah, man. I
It's
agree with you.
not. And we're like you're saying, this is Western. We're not going into
Well,
India
I
or
think
Japan.
I know this is biased. Western music is superior. I mean,
It- it-
I know I'm gonna get hated on, but it literally will. Dude, rock and roll literally went global, part of the Western tradition. So,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
That,
but
yeah.
dude, man, this was great.
This was awesome, man. On
Thanks,
that
Cheech,
note,
for
not
writing this episode,
oh,
and
thank you for explaining it and getting it out there and using your amazing religion knowledge and Greek knowledge and philosophy for because I was worried I wasn't going to be able to express it well, get my concept out.
oh yeah, yeah.
But I think people will understand it. So
Oh yeah.
we're at the drops now, and they're going to get bigger, and it's going to lead up to
Well,
this.
we're gonna lead to like the water and how music should flow and all that, and going with
Exactly.
that Tao idea.
Yeah. So, and it's not Thursday night, it's Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So, happy Wednesday and
Happy Wednesday.
go Knicks. Shout out to Mr. Silkman. And Joe had a good point, really quick.
Mr. Joe Silkman.
Joe said, "How do we know?" Because I told him about this concept. How do we know what music really sounded like, even when it was written down, going up
Well,
to like
I
Bach?
just explained it on the episode, so Joe has to watch this. And I gave you a demonstration, even though it's really bad, where we know because of what the instrument replicates.
Right,
So
right.
ding ding
No,
and
no,
but
no, no, not the Lyre, but like the say for instance, the Marriage of Figaro. Like, what did it really sound like what is written on paper? Okay,
yes,
so,
that's the point of musical notation.
but are there
Musical
nuances?
notation. No, dude, musical notation is meant to immortalize what is being composed. So the
But
way you would hear it today is the way you would hear it back then. Literally, this if you follow the notation,
yeah,
it's they created, for example, the Italians operas, they created a
but,
song.
but what about the bird who taught the baby bird, and there was a different change, a different change in the
But it's the
melody.
same songbird. It's the same song.
But there's always a little change to it. You never know if through the years it might have gotten changed. You know what I mean? That always kind of fascinated
No,
me.
because there's well, if you're talking about like the if you're talking about more of the operas, there's evidence from the original compositions. They just replay
Yeah.
it. Like somebody would like build on this and they
So
sound
you're
like
saying by reading the music, you think that that's what it sounded like
reading the
back in the
music
day.
is like the iPod.
I like that. I like that idea. I like that idea.
Yeah, dude.
But
And
you don't think that the musician could interpret it differently
of
to affect
course,
the
that's when
sound?
you come in with the Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, who made his own Italian operas and concertos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting, interesting, man. I love it. This is a great episode, bro. We're really, really, I think we figured out Jethro Tull was using Psalms in Greek comedy and tragedies, and King
Yeah.
David is the first rock star who invented genres. A lot of shit was brought up tonight. So thanks again, Manny, for another mind fuck of an episode. I love it. And we'll do part two. We'll get into the great Gregorian chants of the
Got some
world.
homework out
So
there, people. Go listen to some Gregorian chants. Just YouTube it or stream it.
any single women or into Gregorian chants and
Jeez, man. I hope
lyres
you
and
find your woman that
King
fits you.
David. And hey, if you're a Bathsheba, I'll take you. Not the Bathsheba we know, but the
Not a
Bathsheba from the,
bad Shiva.
yeah, yeah. The other Bathsheba,
Each
the
one's
good
a
one
hot
from
Shiva.
the one taking a bath. Bathsheba. Oh my God. All right,
Wait a
man.
minute, Bath Shiva. Actually, you're just making me think about that name now.
She's the witch in The Conjuring,
Listen, man. I know.
And Tituban is the witch, is the beginning of the witch trials. Like, I mean, we're getting way ahead of, that Halloween we should do the same witch trials. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's a whole other thing. All right, man. Have a great night. Go Knicks. Silkman, we're rooting for the Knicks. Go Rush. The Rush is rocking. Check out our preview of the Rush tour, the first show. And went from King David to Rush to King David. It's all the same. And have a great night, man.
Cheech, thank you so much. Our viewers out there, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, The Cheech and Manny Show, and leave a comment down below. We'd love to hear what you think. Cheech is always reading the comments, so and I'm reading myself. And
Definitely.
yeah, we'd love to hear what you think about it. And give us a shout out. Say hi. Comment below.
Definitely.
Like this video. This is the Cheech and
Awesome.
Manny Show. This is Manny. This is Cheech is right across from me. And we'll catch
Right.
you next week. Weekly episodes every week.
That's
Remember, we're
it.
the People's Podcast. I'll catch you later.
We are the professors, period. Not the professors of rock. We're now the professors.
We have transcended, man. We've
We,
entered the
we,
music of the spheres.
we're the professors of the music of the spheres. I like that. Next level shit right there.
We're
I
gonna go
love it.
Pythagoras here, man. Pretty soon
We're,
we're gonna go Freemasonic, man. We're actually gonna
oh
have
my God.
a temple.
I know. We're gonna have our own school, our own mystery school. We're gonna take Pythagoras' ideas, Hermes' ideas, King David's ideas, and turn it into a rush music, you know? All right, man. Before my head explodes like Nietzsche, as I feel like it is lately. Have a great night, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Cheech, have a good night, brother. I'll see you in the
All
next
right.
one.
All right. Bye-bye.